Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to our 9th race of the season of the NCAA Pedrigree Xfinity Series. This is the next to last race of the regular season. Next week at Thornton, we will be determining the 10 drivers that will make it into this season's playoffs. 8 drivers will get in via victories, and 2 drivers will get in via points. If we have less than 8 drivers get in via wins, those remaining slots will be filled in by the next drivers highest up in the point standings without a victory. And we got a couple of stories coming into this one. One's kind of a high note, one's kind of a low note on former winners this season. Let's get to the high note first. Corey Williams took the checkered flag last week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but he dug himself into so deep a hole in the first 7 races of the season, he only gained 3 spots in the standings coming into this one. He's only up to 34th in the points. Now his goal is to try and get into the top 20 in points. And coming into this race, if I can quickly do the calculations in my head, I believe he is a total of 27 points out of that 20th position in the standings. So he needs a good run tonight. If he doesn't get a good run tonight, I think he is basically in a must-win situation heading into Thornton. And even then, I don't know if he would gain enough points to get up into the top 20 in the standings. He's got a good start in track position, rolling off from the 10th position here this evening at Bristol Dirt. The down note is Phil Parker. Parker headed into last week's race at Charlotte in the 25th position in points and finished down, I think it was in 39th position. It was either 38th or 39th. It was not a good finish at all. Dropped another 7 spots in the standings. He is 32nd in points coming into this one, and he is a total of 22 points back from the 20th position in points. So Phil Parker, Corey Williams, those are 2 drivers we're going to have to focus on here tonight to see if they'll get a good enough run to at least get themselves within striking distance to get into the top 20 in points next week at the road course of Thornton. But we also have to focus on the fact that we've got a lot of contenders up here at the front that are still looking for their first win of the season. J Ciculli in the 62 lines up on the pole position for this one. He's 33rd in points coming into this one, so really could use a good run. Eli Bright alongside of him, 27th in points. Both drivers looking for their first win in the season. You got Sean Gallighan. Gallighan comes into this one currently situated 6th in the point standings. He is the 4th highest in points without a victory, so he could be not only looking for his first win of the season, he could be looking for a good run to get himself up into one of those playoff spots of the 2 drivers that will get in via points. Right now, those 2 spots are currently held by J Yepez, who is 2nd overall in points, and Z Winkle, who is 3rd overall in the standings. Drivers trying to run them down for those positions include Gallighan, as we mentioned, J Shelly, K Langeland, J Zoerlein, and Sky Commons. So we'll keep an eye on those battles during the course of this race. But there's so many drivers that are still looking for their first win. They're up there inside the top 20. If they go to victory lane here today, they could get themselves a last-minute playoff position. But enough talk. Let's go down trackside. Get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
So as we come into this race right now, we have had a total of 7 different winners in the first 3 races, but only 5 of them currently sit in the top 20 in the points. So right now, 4 drivers would get into the playoffs via points. If we do not have 8 drivers get in via wins, those remaining spots are given to drivers high up there in the point standings after the top 2 highest in the point standings without a victory. Right now, the drivers locked in via wins would be Kyle Thomas, 2-time winner and overall points leader. Ashland Boyd, who right now is 4th in points. Anthony McCurry, 10th in the standings. Ryan Madden, 13th. And Trent Dunham, right now, 16th. As the green flag's in the air, let's race in the Coliseum. 40 laps of racing here today. They should not have to make pit stops. It's basically, well, it's a Coliseum, so it's a war. As they're 3 wide for the lead. Jonathan Zoerlein taking a look 3 wide. Gallighan in the middle. Ciculli stuck up on the top side. Zoerlein's going to clear for the top spot. Here come the Roush Fenway cars. Ashland Boyd, that purple car on the bottom. Right behind him, J Shelly, his teammate in the 16. We're not focusing a whole lot on the regular season championship battle because there's a 30-point gap from Kyle Thomas back to Diego Yepez. Thomas, 2-time winner, had a great run last week at Charlotte, and a lot of his competitors, like Boyd, like Yepez, had issues. Speaking of Boyd, Boyd's going to go for the race lead, trying to get his 2nd win on the season. Went coast to coast at Road America, and will take the lead from fellow Ford Mustang Jonathan Zoerlein. Right now, the Blue Oval running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd as Shelly just slotted into the 3rd position. J Figadarello getting to 4th place around Sean Galligan. Figadarello had a great run last week at Charlotte. Finished up inside of the top 15. I think he was either 11th or 12th, and now he drives it in deep on J Shelly for 3rd place, and he will take the spot easily off turn 2. Comes Ryan Madden in the 11. Haven't really heard a whole lot out of the Leaf Filter Chevrolet Camaro since his photo finish victory back at the season opener at Dragonette. Still riding very well in the point standings, though. Comes into this one sitting in the 13th position in points. And now up inside the top 10, and look at that 2-car flying. He just took the 2nd spot away from Jonathan Zoerlein, and now he's got his sights set on Ashland Boyd for the race lead. Battle is on back here for the, that is 6th position. K Shearer, who looked like one of the favorites to win last week at Charlotte, had to settle for, I think it was 6th. He's right now in 6th place. Look at this battle here. Sean Galligan blocking Anthony McCrury down the back straightaway. As they're now battling with J Shelly. Got a 3 wide back here with Charles Jackson, Joshua Ciculli. There's your points leader, Kyle Thomas, right there in the mix. Phil Parker started this race from the 41st position. And we know how much he loves dirt. He has picked up 28 spots since the drop of the green flag. Up to 13th place, and he just took 12th from Charles Jackson. Mentioned that he needs a good run coming into this one, and right now looks like he is definitely doing so. What about the other driver that needs a good run, though? Corey Williams. He started up in 10th place. He is faded, and he's all the way back right now in the 39th position. That is not good for him, but we'll see. There's still a ways to go. Maybe he can get back to the inside, work his way to the front. Saw some damage there on the 21 of Matthew Logan, that Smoky Mountain machine. Yeah, he's got damage on both the left and right side. Who did he get into? Who else has possible right side damage? Don't see anybody at least up through here. So I don't know who he got involved with. Oh, there might be our answer. A little rear end damage on the 19 of S Ozkan, and he has right side damage, so I'm assuming the 19 and the 21 got together at some point. Back up towards the front as we've had another lead change. Jonathan Zoerlein got back around J Figadarello and Ashland Boyd. He goes back to the front. Zoerlein coming into this one in the 8th position in points, so if he could pick up a victory, that would almost like my tongue could work. That would almost solidify him. There we go. A spot in the playoffs as the battle is on for 2nd between Figadarello and Boyd. Ashland Boyd not going to be able to put up much of a fight there. Figadarello will move to the spot. Quentin Moore in 4th, now trying to crack the podium. Quentin's 20th in points, so a victory for him could put him into playoff contention. It's one thing that I love about the regular season. It's never over till it's over. Drivers that you don't really even put in the spotlight week after week could pop up there in the final 1 or 2 races of the season and snatch away a playoff position. And Quentin Moore could very well be one of those drivers. The only time I can think of that we really gave him a lot of TV time was back when he had a good run at, I think it was Riverside. Yeah, when he finished 3rd. Battle brewing for the lead. J Figadarello has cut down the advantage between himself and that Haas Automation Ford Mustang. Last time by was about a half second. It's now about 3.5 tenths. See him running that lower line in the back straight, and you're probably wondering why. Well, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, visibility. He doesn't want to be running behind a car that's going to kick dirt up in the windshield and make it hard for him to see. And number 2, clean air. I mean, do you really want to run behind somebody and have dirt and dust flying up into your radiator and into your engine? Not really. Going at the tail end of the field here. Patrick Zych there along with Nicholas Romero. Looks like the damage on Matthew Logan has not affected him. It's a short track, so usually speed is not of the essence. You just have to have a car in one piece. Doesn't have to look pretty. Logan's picking up some spots right now. Nicholas Romero was just now heading into turn 3. The leaders were coming out of turn 2. So we could see the tail end of the field get reeled in by the leaders, and that could play a factor into who's going to win this race. 16 laps to go. I'd be a little bit concerned if I were Corey Williams, because he's got to start making forward progress now. Now he's starting to work his way back up to the front, up to 35th. Phil Parker, on the other hand, was up there towards the front. He got kicked to the high side. He's faded back now to 31st. Those two, the 22 and the 51, fighting for their playoff lives as we've got a battle for the lead, and it's over as quickly as it started. J.D. Figadarello will go to the point. Now, J.D. comes into this one 37th in the point standings. I don't think, even with this victory, with what we saw with Corey Williams with his victory only gaining 3 spots in the standings, I don't think Figadarello is going to be able to make it into the playoffs. So, obviously, that's not going to stop him from trying to pick up a victory, but I don't think, even if he won this week and next week at Thornton, I don't think he'd gain enough positions and points to get into the top 20 in the standings. I mean, I'm thinking right now it might be almost near impossible for Phil Parker and Corey Williams. If it were early on in the season when you can gain a lot of spots in the standings with a good finish, then yeah. But as the season wanes on and we get to races 6, 7, 8, you only gain usually 2, 3, 4, maybe a maximum of 5 spots with a good finish. Although I'm not really sure why I'm saying this. Justin Dearborn finished, was it 2nd or 3rd last week, and he gained 12 spots in the standings. So I guess it all depends on how close you are to the competitors around you. Battle is on for the lead again. Jonathan Zoerlein to the inside of J.D. Figadarello. He'll take the lead back, and they are able to see the tail end of the field on the same straightaway as them. We're going to hit the line with 9 laps to go. We'll see if that traffic up ahead is going to be an issue or not. Tough break there for Nicholas Romero running back in 40th. He got involved in a wreck back at Charlotte, which put him dead last in that event as well. So it looks like he might be going for back-to-back 40th place finishes. And there is Phil Parker in the 22, right now in 39th. Corey Williams, what progress has he been able to make? Oh, he's made good progress. Really good progress. He's up now to the 24th spot and still continuing to move up. Not sure if 24 is going to cut it, though. We'll see. Still about 6.5 laps to go, so we still got time to pick up some more spots before the checkered flag waves. As Jonathan Zoerlein, maybe about 7/8 car lengths away from the tail end of the field, and 6 laps remaining. J.D. Figadarello's kind of fallen off. Sean Galligan all of a sudden has gotten fast. He's reeling in the top 2. Here comes Kyle Thomas as well, trying to go for 3 wins on the season. Top 4 is separated by less than 2 seconds, so they still are in the hunt for this. If the 00 Zoerlein gets held up by these drivers ahead of him that are on the tail end of the lead lap, and they are probably going to fight him. They are not going to want to go a lap down. Got Nicholas Romero there, Phil Parker. Laps continue to tick away. 4 laps to go as Figadarello starting to close the gap up again between himself and Zoerlein. You got Romero, you got Parker, James McCloud back there. He's had back-to-back good finishes in the last 2 weeks, but not running well here tonight at Bristol, as here comes Figadarello driving it in deep. He's going to get alongside coming out of turn 2. Can he use the 20 car maybe as a pick? Nicholas Romero going to pinch him down, though. But Figadarello is going to stay to the inside. He'll have the race lead and now try and put a lap machine between himself and the 00. Got a battle for 3rd. Kyle Thomas just got around Sean Galligan. Zoerlein's going to try and get around the 20 of Nicholas Romero. This time by, though, Figadarello just saw the white flag. They're double wide ahead of him. Does Zoerlein have a shot to catch him here going into 3 if the 2-guard car gets held up? Into 3 and 4, Zoerlein tries to close. He's not close enough. J.D. Figadarello is going to pick up the victory here tonight at Bristol Dirt. But would that be enough for a transfer spot into the playoffs? I'm not sure it would be. 37th in points coming into this one. I believe he was about 40 points back from 20th in the standings. I don't think this win's going to translate to a playoff spot. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. It really would all depend on Thornton next week, but I still don't think, even if he got back-to-back victories here tonight at Bristol and next week at Thornton, I don't think mathematically he'd make it in. Well, Phil Parker, this is certainly going to probably, I think, take him out of the playoffs now, despite his fuel strategy victory at Memphis. question is, what about Corey Williams? Does this keep his playoff hopes alive? Where did he work his way up to? 24th. I don't know if that's going to put him close enough to make it into the playoffs or not. I mean, put it this way. He was at least within striking distance of Ciculli, Parker, Marks, Jimmy Dawson, Andrew Miller. I would say that he was basically within striking distance to move up maybe to 24th in points. But it really would depend on where all the drivers there from 24th on down through 33rd finish this race. Let's see, did he finish ahead of Ciculli? No, he did not. Ciculli finished 8th. Did he finish ahead of Parker? Yes, he did. Did he finish ahead of Chase Marks? Barely, by one position, so I don't know if he'd pass him in the standings. Andrew Miller finished ahead of him in 7th. McCloud didn't finish ahead of him. He finished 28th. Eli Bright, I think, finished ahead of him in 13th. So, yeah, a lot of the drivers that he had to pass in points finished ahead of him. I don't know. It's really all going to depend on how close the points are heading into next week. If the points are close and he can get a good enough finish, then maybe. But if there's a pretty good separation from a certain position of 20th down to somewhere else, maybe like 25th, then he might be in a bit of trouble. But J.D. Figadarello, let's focus on the winner of this race. How about that now? Is J.D. Figadarello with the victory. Great run for him. If I'm not mistaken, let me just double check. That is his first top 5 on the season. Had 2 top 10s coming into this race, an average finish of 25th, but a great run here today. I don't think it'll translate into a playoff spot, but it's a victory nonetheless. It's actually Richard Childress Racing's first victory on the season as well, if you don't count Ryan Madden, who does get equipment out of Richard Childress Racing stables. Jonathan Zoerlein will finish the day out in 2nd, just could not battle back there after Figadarello put Nicholas Romero between himself and Zoerlein. Kyle Thomas, the good finishes for the points leader continue on. He'll get a 3rd place run. Sean Galligan there in 4th. Remember, he's battling for a spot in the playoffs via points. Ashlyn Boyd's going to finish the day out in 5th. Quentin Moore in 6th. Andrew Miller 7th. Ciculli, the pole sitter, finished 8th. Ryan Madden in 9th. And Daniel Voyles is going to complete the top 10. If we look at those drivers battling for playoff spots via points, Galligan definitely gaining a lot here today. Same for Jonathan Zoerlein. They were 6th and 8th, respectively, in points coming into this one. Diego Yepez finished in 33rd. Zach Winkle 34th. They were the drivers that came in 1-2 in those playoff positions. So that's not what they were looking for. J Shelly, who was the 3rd highest in points without a victory, also struggled today, back in 32nd. So Galligan and Zoerlein, did they just jump up into potential playoff spots via points with their good runs here today? We'll have to wait and see. Hope you guys enjoyed this race here from Bristol. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We've shown you full finish results. These are your point stands heading next week. One more race remains, and it's a doozy. We're going to Thornton next week to determine the 10 playoff drivers. Remember, 8 drivers get in via wins, 2 drivers get in via points. If we do not have 8 winners get into the playoffs, those final remaining slots, however they may be, whether they be 3, 4, 5, if there's just 2, maybe 1 spot available, it goes to the next driver, highest in points without a victory. So, can Corey Williams make it into the playoffs? Will we see a last-minute driver get into the playoffs with a victory? And who's going to get those spots via points? Spots 9 and 10. We'll have to wait and see. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time in 2 days for the Thornton race. Tune in tomorrow night for the Duracell Cup Series race. Until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.